Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna to all.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Pranams.
Sindhu Mataji, Pranams Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we will start with the class. Okay, I will start with the opening prayers. Om Agnanati Mirandasya Gnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurinmilitam Nenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Nena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanosute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Pancha Kalpatarupesya Kripa Sindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna to all assembled devotees. I would first like to thank Mataji for giving me this opportunity. Bhumika Mataji, thank you so much. I hope I'll be able to take the class as well as she does. And thank you, Ashish Prabhuji, for the opportunity also. And I hope all the devotees will listen to whatever I say with an open heart. And if any mistakes, I will ask in front. Okay, so please I'm apologizing before. If I make any mistake, please forgive me. So with all your blessings, I will start today's class. So before we start, I would just like to have a small recap of what you had done last Saturday session. I'm pretty sure the last shloka you covered was 3.37. So if anyone can summarize or can say a few points about what the shloka was, what was the essence?
Yeah, Mataji, I can just try 2 to 3 points, then somebody else can continue because I'm not having my book now. So I just
please whatever
first we saw like it's better to do our one's own work duties properly, I mean faultily, than taking up the another's duties perfectly.
Correct.
Right? So because taking another's path is quite risky. So Krishna is telling that.
Yes.
And also it is only because of lust, Krishna is telling, which is coming in contact with the material modes, passion, and later it is transforming into wrath. That is the most sinful enemy of the earth.
Yes.
So first we have to curb that thing, and then slowly we have to rise above the modes. That's what I remember. Anyone else? Thank you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If anyone has any inputs. Okay, like how Mataji has said, okay, from last chapter we came to know Krishna will see Arjuna's mood and he starts explaining the characteristics of lust. Okay, so he says that lust is born out of passion, and he says that this is the running force of this material world, right? So lust is always it is always there, and it is very easy to wake lust up, because we all are bound to this material world. Okay, so we are in this prison house, and it is very easy to open the key. Okay, so this key is lust basically. So everyone, love and lust, everything is the same. All of this was actually, love was meant for Lord Krishna, right? But it has been diverted. It has been diverted to loving parents, loving pets also, animals also we love, and we have animals in our house, we grow them as pets. So we give extra love again. Okay, see, there's some unavoidable relations in our life, like our mother, father, our husband, or like in the future, kids and everyone. So these are unavoidable things where we end up loving. But again, we're adding on, okay, other things in our life which we start loving. Even material things, some people love, right? They're very attached to it. So Krishna over here, he emphasizes how this lust is actually it's covering our eyes. Okay, and how it is stopping us from bhakti. So in these verses, in the next couple of verses, we will see how this lust is covering our bhakti and how it affects us. Okay, so anyone would like to read the shloka and the translation? Sindhu Mataji, would you like to read?
Yeah, Mataji, sure.
Okay, please go ahead, Mataji.
3.38. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dhūmenāvriyate vahne yatādharshō malena ca yathōlvenāvrito garbhas tata tenedamavritam. Synonyms you want me to read?
A translation, Mataji, you can go ahead.
Translation and purport. Translation by Divine Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Yeah. So basically, from this paragraph onward, Sri Krishna is explaining to us the kama, okay, which is the lust, and this lust is born out of the rajoguna, right? Out of the three gunas. So how from rajoguna the lust can be taken even to tamasic guna, right? So it can go all the way. Lust can even affect us, okay? So and it also says how this also covers the true knowledge of the soul, right? So it is not just like us as bodily we're getting affected, but also the soul is. So over here, lust does not only mean like the sensual or the lusty thing, okay? It also means like being selfless or having other material desires is also kind of lust, right? It is not only sexual lust, but also there are other kinds of lust also, okay? Lust towards material things, any kind of attachment, even being so self-centered or like some people are very selfish by nature, right? Even that is too much of anything. You get into anything that is material, that goes into lust. Mataji, would you like to go on with the purport also? Sindhu Mataji or anyone else who wants to read the purport?
Yeah, I thought everyone can get a chance, Mataji.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be doing other paragraphs. So you continue, okay. Mataji. Next time we can give it to someone else.
Wants to, read can raise your hands, okay?
Yeah. Anyone who wants to read can please raise your hand, yeah? Saurabh Prabhu?
May I read, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There are 3 degrees of covering of the living entity by which his pure consciousness is obscured. This covering is but lust under different manifestations like smoke in the fire, dust on the mirror, and the womb about the embryo. When lust is compared to smoke, it is understood that the fire of the living spark can be a little perceived. In other words, when living entity exhibits his Krishna consciousness likely, he may be likened to the fire covered by smoke. Although fire is necessary where there is smoke, there is no overt manifestation of fire in the early stage. This stage is like the beginning of Krishna consciousness. The dust on the mirror refers to a cleansing process of the mirror of the mind by so many spiritual methods. This best process is to chant the holy names of the Lord. The embryo covered by the womb is an analogy illustrating a helpless position for the child in the womb. He is so helpless that he cannot even move. This stage of living condition can be compared to that of the trees. The trees are also living entities, but they have been put in such a condition of life by such a great exhibition of lust that they are almost void of all consciousness. The covered mirror is compared to the birds and beasts, and the smoke-covered fire is compared to the human being. In the form of human being, the living entity may revive a little Krishna consciousness, and if he makes further development, the fire of the spiritual can be kindled in the human form of life. By careful handling of the smoke in the fire, fire can be made to blaze. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy lust by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for reading. So over here, Krishna gives us three analogies. Yeah, the first analogy is actually the fire covered by smoke, right? So this just in general example. Okay, now fire covered by smoke is basically an occurrence that happens only when you light fire, right? Only when you start putting a fire, the smoke starts coming. So it is like an action and a reaction kind of a situation, right? So smoke and like smoke covered by the like a fire covered by the smoke is like living entities, like us human beings, right? So we are born with both the body and the consciousness inside us, right? So we know we are conscious and we're able to act upon the consciousness also. Okay, so if example, if I want to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it will take a second for me to chant, right? But an animal, even though if it has the body and it has all the other circumstances, it cannot go on chanting. It is impossible. It is out of its thing, and it is not even that conscious by nature, right? So hence in the future examples we'll discuss. So first is fire is luminous by nature. It will be bright no matter what. Okay, and smoke is just temporary, that is covering the whole fire. So by nature the fire is very bright. So similarly, inside all of us, we have Paramatma. So he's always situated there and he'll always be guiding us. So the smoke will last, okay, maybe for 10 minutes or maybe like 15 minutes, and eventually the wind will carry the smoke. So the same way in Krishna consciousness, okay, the initial stages, whenever we come into the initial stages, okay, there is some amount of covering, okay, the smoke that is covered, the fire. But initially, as we do our sadhana and as we get into Krishna consciousness, this smoke is slowly carried away by the wind. Okay, so the stage where it is said that the consciousness of a human being. So this is the stage of the consciousness of a human being, right? So this is what Srila Prabhupada compares, okay, that this stage is very rare to achieve. So a human birth is very rare to achieve. The second analogy comes to the mirror covered by lust. Now, the mirror covered by lust are two entities. Okay, here smoke and the fire are one. Okay, with the action comes the reaction. But over here, a mirror is just put, and because of some external reasons, okay, the dust starts accumulating on the mirror, and it hides the reflection, or we can't see ourselves in the mirror. Okay, this is a stage where the animals like birds and other, I think here it mentions, Krishna Prabhupada mentions birds and other kind of, living entities are stuck in this position. Okay, why is because the consciousness is not with them in this particular way. Okay, where they cannot, as mentioned before, they cannot do japa or they cannot do something. Okay, they all they can do is they can protect themselves, they can defend, they can eat, and they can do mating, right? But there is no consciousness present in it. So there is no point in this life, because it's just like, we have the cycle, right? You get up, you sleep, you eat, again you go back to sleeping. So this is the only thing you keep doing on repeat. So here the mirror is accumulating dust. Even if you try to clean the dust, okay, the mirror is left with a lot of scratches around it. It will not return back to how it was previously, right? And you cannot see a clear reflection of yourself. So even though taking an animal birth, okay, there's only degradation. Okay, until or unless some kind of devotee adopts the dog or a pet or takes them under their thing, feeds it prasadam or something, is extreme condition, an animal will actually progress to a human life, and that to a conscious life, right? So this stage is where the mirror reflection is very dusty. It can be clean, but it needs a lot of effort. So the last comparison is the embryo. Okay, the last analogy is the embryo covered by the womb. Now, this is the most tough, like the most difficult stage, because this stage, it is completely hidden. Okay, there is no knowledge, there is no activity, there is nothing possible. Okay, like how the baby struggles inside the womb of a mother, right? It keeps kicking, it keeps like, doing all this sort of things because it feels very suffocating inside this womb. Okay, here there's no knowledge, there's no way you can gain anything in this stage. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada compares it to a tree. Because tree, if someone comes and tries to cut a tree, right? The tree cannot say, stop, don't cut me. It can't say such things, right? It should take whatever comes to it. Though it rains, though it is very sunny, okay, it has to stand there. Okay, doesn't matter. It cannot put itself an umbrella, or it can't do anything. It has to stand and it has to go through all those things, right? So this is the most miserable state anyone can be in. And it is for such a long amount of time. Let us compare. Okay, first fire covered by smoke, right? This might last for few minutes. And there is no and the air will naturally take it, like how Krishna will take off all of our things. Same way, mirror covered by dust. Okay, though the mirror is clean, there's still scratches left, so there's some kind of damage over here. But later on, embryo, it's 9 months, right? It stays inside the womb for 9 months. So if this says, okay, the 9 months over here, we can calculate how long trees live for, right? Such a long time they live, bearing all of this 150 years, 200 years. So this is the Karma Kanda. So basically, Srila Prabhupada over here, he's trying to conclude that human life is very rare. Okay. And though it is just covered by a little bit of smoke in the initial stages because of the fire, okay, just like bear it for some time and cross that smoke, and eventually the smoke will go away. Okay, the air will take the smoke away. So it is very rare opportunity that you get a human life, and make sure you use that human life to perform Krishna consciousness, right? Because it is the ultimate goal. And over here, Srila Prabhupada also gives a beautiful example of three gunas, right? People in situated in three gunas have different kind of lust. People in Sattva guna also have lust, but lust towards God, not that kind of lust, but lust of doing something more. Okay, not the material kind of lust, the spiritual lust. The same way, everyone has lust in different qualities. Okay, Prabhupada says that a first class prisoner, second class, and third class prisoners, all are different prisoners, but all of them are in the same jail, right? They might be in different levels, but they are all in the same jail. Similarly, we all might be in different gunas, but we all are in the same jail, which is the material world. Okay, so there's no way of escaping. Just because we have no desire or no lust doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It can come at any time, and it can go at any time, right? We know a lot of people who use this lust, okay, to kind of like take things. Example, I'm stressed today or something like that. Yeah. First, what people think is, okay, let me go watch a movie or a cricket. But that is not how a spiritual person thinks, right? Let me go chant, let me go hear kirtan. But this is all, it develops over time. So first, we have to make sure that we pass the stage of fire covered by smoke, right? We have to be patient in this stage and come out of this. So Krishna is explaining these three kinds of lust with these analogies, okay? I hope it was clear. And can we go on to another shloka or any doubts? All
Hare
clear?
Krishna.
Yes, Sri Priya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Reading the next shloka, sorry.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. You can read 3.39.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Pranam, Mataji.
Pranam.
आवृतं ज्ञानम् एतेन ज्ञानिनो नित्यवैरिणा कामरूपेण कौन्तेय दुष्पुरेण नलेन च. Translation and Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, the wise living entities, pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. But can I read, Mataji?
Mataji, just 1 second, right? I just explain the topic. So this topic 3.39 is about the eternal enemy, the enemy of the enemies and the enemy of all living entity, and also the enemy of the soul, which is lust. Okay, so lust is the enemy of even the soul. So this shloka talks about the sense, mind, and intelligence are the sitting places of lust. Okay, these three. So what are these? So now that Srila Prabhupada and Krishna has over here explained that these three are the sitting places of lust, right? Now, as we know what the problem is, let us find the solution, okay? And let us take precautions. So Krishna is explaining what we are supposed to do. Mataji, you can continue.
Purport. It is said in Manusmriti that lust cannot be satisfied by any amount of sense enjoyment, just as fire is never extinguished by a constant supply of fuel. In the material world, the center of all activities is sex, and thus this material world is called Maitunya Agara, or the shackles of sex life. In the ordinary prison house, criminals are kept within the bars. Similarly, the criminals who are disobedient to the laws of the Lord are shackled by sex life. Advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing the duration of the material existence of a living entity. Therefore, this lust is a symbol of ignorance by which the living entity is kept within the material world, which while one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness. But actually, the so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enemy of the senses. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Much you muted.
Sorry, Mataji. Thank you so much. I'll just share the... Okay. I think the picture is visible, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. Okay. So over here, we can see that Lord Krishna says the sense, the mind, the intelligence, and the sense, mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of lust. Okay, so these sitting places we already know. So now let us take precautions, because now these are the enemies. We know that the mind senses, sense, and the intelligence is the enemy. I know what are the precautions we can take. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he explains that performing Krishna conscious activities like chanting or something can dispel this lust. But how difficult is it to come to this stage? Okay, so first he explains that lust is the eternal enemy. And Srila Prabhupada says that lust is born out of material desires, right? Only when we have this a small sprouting thing, okay? A crop cannot grow directly. It has to first sprout. So we have this one sprouting or the seed of lust in our heart. And from there, the plant starts growing. So first is the desire itself. We have to first avoid the desire of wishing for something. Example like material wealth or something which we feel is excessive. We're not supposed to have for it, and even if it is there, it should be for the pleasure of Krishna. So as it is very hard, it becomes automatically the enemy of the soul, right? So this lust is eventually hiding our like consciousness which we are born with. So we all are supposed to be spiritual in nature. So hence this lust becomes the enemy of the soul, and hence the material body is never satisfied. Okay, and the example of a fire is used over here, right? So how fire, okay, we see right in recently also in the US there was a forest fire, right? And acres and acres of land gone burnt. So it is like a fast reaction. When fire is lit, it spreads like wildfire. We see in Australia and everything. It's a natural occurrence. Okay, so we are feeding this fire by putting more leaves, or by like more wind is driven towards that side, or there's more fuel added to this fire. So by this we are feeding more and more and more. So one person, for example, says, okay, today one day I will go outside and eat. Okay, that one day will go to 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So you can never break that cycle. I see a lot of people coming and telling, okay, from next week onwards, I'm going to put 2 rounds of kanti mala, so I will stop onion garlic. Okay, next week you see they will be everywhere all over Chennai eating everything. So it is not that, it's not like taking something up. Okay, even if you're doing the most minimal thing, do it with utter sincerity. Doesn't matter, you have to give up everything at once. Okay, don't add fuel to the fire. Just make sure whatever it is burning, let it burn at what it is, right? So we're not supposed to add this fuel to the fire. And Srila Prabhupada also says, because this pollutes the pure consciousness we have in our mind, okay? Our consciousness is very important for us, because this is what gets us close to Krishna, okay? So let us keep to the sadhana we are doing. Let us keep sincerity to that sadhana, and let us do that sadhana properly, instead of adding more and more and making it complicated. So because we are in material world and in Kali Yuga, so both are too extreme for us. So let us take a step by a time. And he says lust will always keep growing in this material world, because attracting is very easy. We see all these billboards, right? Whenever we pass through a car or any transport, we see all these advertisements. It is very easy. It takes a split of second to break our sadhana. It doesn't take more than that. No, not even a split of second, a millisecond time. So Prabhupada says always be cautious and always stay in a Krishna consciousness. That's why you see, even when Srila Prabhupada was traveling, always used to carry the japa bag with him. Wherever, any second, even a split second of time he used to have spare, he used to chant, because his order was to chant 64 rounds. Though he had given us 16 rounds to chant, his Guru Maharaj, his Guru Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, gave him 64 rounds to chant, right? So throughout the day, he had to chant 64 rounds. So with so much of preaching and everything, he still kept that promise. So furthermore, we see the result of this lust is that living beings by nature, though they are spiritual, they turn out to be lusty, they lose faith, and people start becoming more this thing. Okay, that's why we see this, right? As Mataji has read, the shackles of sex life. Okay, so we are stuck in this cycle. We are stuck in this Hiranya Garbha. Okay, and we keep repeating. We go down, we go up, and again we come back to the middle. Okay, so what happens after we die? We go to Patala to judge. Okay, we go to Yamadharma Maharaja, and there he judges us. Okay, so depending on our time, okay, if we have done bad karma, we'll first get punished for that, and for good karma, we'll go back up. Okay, in Swargaloka, we will enjoy them. Again, we'll come back to earth. Okay, it's a never-ending cycle. So you'll be born as whatever creatures in the 8,40,000 species. But still you'll come back to the middle again. You again come back to Bhuloka. So this cycle is continuous, even if after the calamities, okay, once Brahma days gets over, you'll all go back to Mahavishnu and again again you'll come back. Okay, we'll all go back to Mahavishnu, okay, at the end. But again we'll be born in this cycle again and again. And this cycle will be never ending till we reach back to home, back to Godhead. Okay, till we reach our seed giving Father, this keeps happening. So this is the punishment we get, and the most like cruel punishment is that we forget every time we are born, right? So it's not like we remember our mistakes and we can correct them. So it is like restarting again and again. We don't even know how many lakhs of birth we have taken till now as different species. So why don't we use this birth to utilize whatever we have? This human life is very rare. That's why they say don't commit suicide and all these kind of other things, because it's more extreme, right? So moving on to the next. Who wants to read the next shloka? Sorry, I cannot see. Any volunteers who want to read the next?
Diksha Mataji, Dinesh Prabhu is there, Padma Mataji. So many of the usual regular devotees. Hare Krishna.
The regular who reads. Okay, I didn't know. Yes, Mata. Anyone
Yeah.
can read. I think Padma Mataji, do you want to read?
Mataji,
shloka.
otherwise I will read.
Yes,
Mataji.
Swarab Prabhu, yes, you can read the shloka and the translation. Yes, so
Or
Saurabh
camera off, I'm not able to recognize. Muted
Saurabh
also.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Someone
Sorry.
has done.
Indrani manu buddhi rasyati dishthana muchyate ete varmoha ityesha jnanam amritte dehinam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of the lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Purport. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all activities of the senses, and thus when we hear about sense objects of the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification. And as a result, the mind and the senses become repositories of lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next door neighbor of spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with the matter, and thus with the mind of senses the spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes these are true happiness. This false identification of the spirit soul is very nicely explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.84.13. Yastamatma buddhi punape tridha dhatuke swadihi kalam tridishu bhaumaji aidhi yattida buddhi salile nagarechaji janeshu abhinashu saeva gokaraha. A human being who identifies this body made of three elements with this self who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsman, who considers the land of birth worshipable, and who goes to the place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge. There is to be considered like an ass or a crow. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for reading. Yeah. So in this paragraph, okay, we can see that there are three main holding points of human body. Okay, the senses, the mind, and intelligence, right? So the senses are called indriyani, the mind is mana, and the intelligence is buddhi. So that is what is mentioned in the shloka. So in the shloka, it also sees how lust acts, like what is the play of lust, and it uses the sense, the mind, and how it uses these three to cover the real knowledge of the soul. So what happens as a result, the living entity is naturally bewildered and it acts under the delusion of the material world. So what happens? So what are the progressive stages? So Srila Prabhupada says there are three stages of takeover. The first stage is the senses are at through the senses attraction to this object start taking place. We'll start liking things and we start getting attracted. And then what happens? The mind will start desiring and planning. And finally, the intelligence will get compromised, and even a rational person will start acting irrational, or they'll act like selfish, like very selfishly or very sinfully. So these are the reactions. So one of the examples is also given. Okay, the example of Kaikeyi is given over here. So what is this example and how does her role come in a picture like this? Now there were two kinds of connections over here. Okay, one is the connection of Sumantra and Mantra, right? Sumantra was a good influence and Mantra was a bad influence. So over here we can say that material nature can be Mantra, right? And Kaikeyi, all her life, she was very rational person. Okay, she really liked Lord Rama. She was actually giving preference to Rama also. But towards the end, just a bit of, material, too much of materialness and all of this, like lust towards the king, or lust of making her son as the king, okay, made her drop to such a position where she had to exile her son and her husband. I see the results are very bad, right? Whatever, just a second, okay, of that lusty feeling of having the throne made her to come to such a position where she regrets that thing for the entire life and the whole history, even until today we are talking about this. See, one small action has such a big reaction. So this is what Prabhupada is trying to say, that this five senses that we have, the sight, the hearing, the taste, the tongue, and the smell, okay, all of this is connected with that three sitting places of lust, which is the mind, intelligence, and the soul. So we always have to keep it in sanity and associate. That's why ISKCON, it focuses so much on association, devotee associations. We have sadhu sangha, right? We say sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya. All of this is because we have to stay in such an association that we always interact with good people around us. We associate, we talk about Krishna. Sri Prabhupada also emphasizes what kind of talks we used to have as people before, material talks, right? But now all of us are sitting in one place and we are having like spiritual discussions. So this is the kind of society it needs to be. And this will only be there when we come out of these three sitting places and emphasize more on bhakti and in Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada's emphasis on this purport is that although the intelligence, although higher than both the body, mind, and the senses, but it can get easily contaminated by lust. Okay, so therefore, even a rational minded person like Kaikeyi, in all her life, though she did so many good deeds, can be irrational, can make irrational decision under the influence of lust. Okay, and over here, her example was used because like it was not her directly, but inside her mind, she wanted her son to be a king. Okay, so hence that led to this. So what is the essence of this verse's teaching is that the real enemy is lust. Okay, and it is sitting inside us, inside all of us, and we are like all of us over here. I hope all of us are chanting. Okay, that is the way to like control that lust. So it is like every time we chant, it keeps reducing and reducing. But even if little exposed to materialness, it is easy to come out, right? So even a lifelong chanting, even till our death. That's why Prabhupada says, if you chant now, at least at the end of your life, okay, for that 1 second, like how Ajamila, just because he named his son, okay, with the name of the Lord. In olden days, that's why they used to name kids and everyone with the name of God. So at least you, like while calling them, you say the Lord's name, right? So just for that one split of second, you will think about God and you will say his name and you might get delivered. So just for that one split of second. And whereas Bharat Maharaj, all his life, he also left his family, right, for his sadhana. But what happened? He was just attracted to an animal. So it doesn't matter till when you do Krishna consciousness, you have to do it till the end of your life. It is just not a phase, but it is a permanent, it is a lifestyle. right? It is a life. So you have to lead a Krishna consciousness life. It's not like I will do only for a certain amount of time and after that I'm going to let it loose. Then if you let it loose, Maya will take place, lust will come, and all the senses are bewildered. So this shloka is more focused on this concept. Yeah. Next, who wants to read? Anyone? Next shloka, 41. Indriya Mataji or Geeta Mataji? Geeta Mataji, do you want to read the shloka?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, I'll try.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
41st shloka.
Yes, Mataji, 41st shloka.
Tasmat Tvam Indriyani Adau Niyamya Bharat Tarshabha Papamanam Prajahi Iyayanam Jnana Vijnana Nashanam. Should I read the purport, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, translation and purport, Mataji, please continue.
Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Purport: the Lord advised Arjuna to regulate the senses from the very beginning so that he could curb the greatest sinful enemy, lust, which destroys the urge of self-realization and specific knowledge of the self. Jnana refers to knowledge of self as distinguished from non-self, or in other words, knowledge that the spirit soul is not the body. Vijnana refers to specific knowledge of the spirit soul's constitutional position and his relationship to the Supreme Soul. It is explained thus in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.31. Jnanam parama guhyam me yad vijnana samanvitam sarahasyam tad angam shagrihana gatitam maya. The knowledge of the self and Supreme Self is very confidential and mysterious, but such knowledge and specific realization can be understood if explained with their various aspects by the Lord Himself. Bhagavad Gita gives us that general and specific knowledge of the self. The living entities are parts and parcel of the Lord, and therefore they are simply meant to serve the Lord. The consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. So, from the very beginning of life, one has to learn this Krishna consciousness, and thereby one may become fully Krishna conscious and act accordingly.
Mataji, 1 second. I'll just explain this and you can read the next paragraph, Mataji. Yeah. So over here we come across two important terms, okay? That is Gnana, which is the knowledge of the self, okay? And then the second is Vijnana, specific knowledge of the spirit soul. Yeah, it is two kinds of knowledge Krishna talks about over here. And he also refers to the shloka, okay, from Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this shloka, what we understand is what is the basis of Krishna consciousness, like according to Bhagavad Gita. So it is basically all the living entities are part and parcel of the Lord and simply meant to serve the Lord. That's it. So this is the basic essence. So what is happening in this situation, okay, as Mataji read in the purport, is that therefore, O Arjuna, best of Bharatas, in the very beginning of the curve, this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, slayed this destroyer of knowledge. So in earlier times, in Treta Yuga and Satya Yuga, people had the self-control to control all these kind of lusty, feelings. They used to do meditation. We also saw rishis who couldn't and who bore the results of those things. But still, in such a time in Kali Yuga, we can't even meditate, we can't do deity worship, we can't do yajnas and homas because this lust has so much, a concurrence in us that we are not even qualified, to even chant the Vedic. That's why they say Vedas are out of our thing to study because they are so in depth of knowledge that we cannot. That's why they say all the essence of Vedas is there in Bhagavad Gita. That's why Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna so that we can get this transcendental knowledge. So we don't have to go and sit and read the Vedas, but we can simply sit and read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and just by reading this, even Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is more than enough for this current material world we are living in. So by knowing this, we know Krishna, and that is the essence of the Vedas, right? So the key points from this purport till now, what Mataji read is Krishna advises Arjuna to act immediately without delay. He's like, now stop this lamentation and everything and act immediately, because if you don't do, this lust will start growing stronger and stronger and stronger. Okay. Can anyone say what does Arjuna have to do with lust in this particular situation? Like, why does Krishna start telling that Arjuna, you have lust and you have to stop this lusty action? And before it acts upon you, you have to you should curb the greatest sinful enemy, lust, which destroys the urge of self-realization. Why does Lord say this to Arjuna? Please feel free to say whatever you understand. It doesn't
Hare
have to be.
Krishna, Mataji, Arjuna was bewildered because of this lust, because he was not ready to fight. He thought all
Correct.
are my relatives, and so he was not agreeing to
Yes.
this, killing them. Yeah.
Correct. So this is also kind of lust, right? The first thing is he didn't want to kill his relatives, okay? And after this point, that's why now we are studying Karma Yoga, right? The first Krishna starts with Karma Yoga, that's why. So he starts because Arjuna is in such illusion that by killing all of this, I am breaking my thing, but he's forgetting. Yeah, but he's forgetting his Kshatriya. First of all, he's forgetting his Varnashrama Dharma is Kshatriya, and that is to fight. If you don't fight, you will be a sinner. Okay, so you're acting against. So this is lust, basically. You're not supposed to do this, right? Arjuna is actually, he's not actually bewildered. It's for us that he's acting in such a way so that we learn, right? So ultimately, we should, in the back of our mind, we should always think in this way that Arjuna is not bewildered. It's just for us that he's playing his part in this. Okay. So because of this, okay, the Lord starts advising. He's like, before it is too late, okay, reflect on what you are thinking, come back, okay, and start performing your duties, because you have to fight. That is your duty. So now what is the root of this sin? Okay, the lust is the root of the sin, right? So lust is described as the greatest symbol. Okay, he says Maha Papam, which means the greatest of all sins. Okay, just having lust is equal to Mahapapa, means the the utmost, commit, anyone can commit a sin is this one, lust. It can be lustful desires. Especially if Arjuna is stepping out of his duty, that is the Mahapapa, which means the greatest of all sins. Even Kauravas will not accumulate such sins because they are going to fight. Okay, so he starts saying how to fight. Like, detach yourself. Okay, it doesn't have to be an attached fight, though they are your relatives. Okay, it's Moksha the Ekadasi day, and everyone are going to get liberated. So don't fight with attachment. If you fight with attachment, you'll never be able to fight. First thing. So first, you recognize this aspect and come out of this lust. Okay, so this is what Krishna is trying to say here. Mataji, you can continue the last paragraph reading.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. The knowledge from there, the knowledge of the self.
This one, lust is only the perverted reflection of. Yeah.
Okay. Lust is only the perverted reflection of the love of God, which is natural for every living entity. But if one is educated in Krishna consciousness from the very beginning, that natural love of God cannot deteriorate into lust. When love of God deteriorates into lust, it is very difficult to return to the normal condition. Nonetheless, Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following the regulative principles of devotional service. So, from any stage of life or from the time of understanding its urgency, one can begin regulating the senses in Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord, and turn the lust into love of Godhead, the highest perfectional stage of human life.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, very beautifully Prabhupada has said that lust basically destroys both knowledge and self-realization, right? So when a person is covered, both his knowledge and self-realization are gone. So what are the actions we are supposed to do in this case? First thing is we have to recognize the enemy. Okay, the enemy is what? Lust, right? And the senses. So first we have to be aware. Okay, so this is our weakness. So we have to first figure. Next is to regulate those things. So what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to climb the ladder of the gunas, right? So this is where we step our gunas, where we come from sattva, from tamasic guna to rajoguna, from rajoguna to sattva guna. So this is how people normally they work. First, you have to be aware of what is disturbing you in this lustful cycle, right? So I am feeling lustful towards like shopping or towards something like this. So first you identify. So I am towards money a lot. So you incline towards this, you find a solution from this, and then you start coming out of the gunas. You overcome the gunas, they say, right? Once you start overcoming gunas, like it is better. For example, most of us used to be non-veg eaters, right? So we overcame the tamasic guna to rajoguna, right? From rajoguna, we're trying to achieve sattva guna by eating more sattvic food, right? By reducing our intakes and by eating whatever is required to the body, not overeating. So all of these are some of the steps we are trying to take, and we're trying to chant, to control this lusty things. So these are some of the steps. So we always have to climb the ladder, but never get down it. Prabhupada says you have to go in the speed of an elevator, okay, escalator, rather than taking the stairs and going slowly. Krishna consciousness is direct, elevator only. Okay, you're just climbing in the lift and you're going straight up. Okay, no one takes steps. If you take steps, then you have to come from karma yoga, gnana yoga, and all of this, and then you have to achieve bhakti yoga. But Srila Prabhupada and Krishna give us the direct knowledge of bhakti yoga, where you can do chanting. The first and the only thing, okay, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also given us, is chanting the holy names. Just by doing chanting. Have you ever seen Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do anything else than chanting? Nothing. He did chanting. Okay, he didn't even leave any piece of work that he's written except for Shishtastakam, right? Only 8 verses, because he was like, he wanted to prove that just by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, you can achieve the goal of life, right? So the next everything are additional, but this Harinam is alone enough in our life. Okay, I hope that was clear. Any doubts? Can we move on to the next shloka? Okay,
Yes,
anyone
please.
else? Yeah, anyone else who wants to read? Indriya Mataji or the Rajeshwari Mataji? Or Sindhu Mataji, do you want to come?
Hare
Okay.
Krishna Mataji. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna Mataji.
Jivesh Mataji.
Yeah, Mataji. I'll read
Yeah,
the
yes,
flow.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Indriyani parani ahur indriyebhya param mana manasastu para buddhir yo buddhe paratastu saha. You want me to read translation?
Yes, Mataji, you can continue with translation and the purport also.
Okay. Translation by Sri Prabhupada, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Purport by Sri Prabhupada ki jai. The senses are different outlets for the activities of lust. Lust is reserved within the body, but it is given vent through the senses. Therefore, the senses are superior to the body as a whole. These outlets are not in use when there is a superior consciousness or Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, the soul makes direct connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the hierarchy of bodily functions, as described here, ultimately ends in the Supreme Soul. Bodily action means the function of the senses, and stopping the senses means stopping all bodily actions. But since the mind is active, then even though body may be silent and at rest, the mind will act as it does during dreaming. But above the mind is the determination of the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul proper. If therefore the soul is directly with the supreme, naturally all other subordinates, namely the intelligence, mind, and senses, will be automatically engaged. In the Katha Upanishad, there is a similar passage in which it is said that the objects of sense gratification are superior to the senses, and mind is superior to the sense objects. If therefore the mind is directly engaged in the service of the Lord constantly, then there is no chance that the senses will become engaged in other ways. This mental attitude has already been explained. Param drishtva nivartate. If the mind is engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is no chance of its being engaged in the lower propensities. In the Katha Upanishad, the soul has been described as Mahan, the great. Therefore, the soul is above all, namely the sense objects, the senses, the mind, and the intelligence. Therefore, directly understanding the constitutional position of the soul is the solution of the whole problem. With intelligence, one has to seek out the constitutional position of the soul.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. I'll just explain till here and you can continue reading the next paragraph,
Yeah.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. So till here, we understand first thing the hierarchy of the control, right? So we understand first matter. It's the lowest level, yeah? And then comes senses. Senses are like ears and eyes and tongue. They are higher than the matter. And then comes mind, which is higher than these sense organs, the five senses, because it becomes like it controls, right, our body. And higher than the mind is the buddhi, which is intelligence. Okay, intelligence is the higher, it is way higher than the mind. Okay, because it knows how to discriminate and how to make decisions. And higher than even the intelligence, buddhi, is atma, the soul. And soul is the highest of all. And because this is where the body, senses, mind, and intelligence are all, like it's highest of all of these. Okay, so it is important to understand that it is the lowest is mind, followed by senses, and the lowest is matter, followed by senses, mind, intelligence, and the soul. Okay, and also over here Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that materialistic people, okay, they let their senses and mind take control of their actions. Whereas a spiritual person, they learn how to control the senses, okay, by intelligence and they kind of like start to resonate with the soul and they start to acknowledge the presence of the soul. So the sense control starts from understanding the soul. So the soul is the key to this, like how Mataji has read. So therefore, the soul is above all. So namely the sense objects, the senses, the mind, and the intelligence. So therefore, once we understand this, yeah, we can break that cycle of lust. So once we understand and we are self-realized, we can understand that there's a presence and there's a soul and we need to feed the soul. And what is the food for the soul? We all know, right? Chanting, listening to Bhagavatam, okay, or studying scriptures. So once we start feeding the soul, automatically the lustful or any kind of material desires will start dispelling and we become spiritual in nature. So that is how a spiritual person can conquer lust, because they start feeding the soul. They become self-realized, right? So that is the difference between material platform and spiritual platform. And over here, Krishna is saying, Arjuna, come to this platform. Okay, so come to the platform where you start understanding the presence of Atma. Okay, realize it and don't lament on the situation. Go forward. We are beyond this. Okay, our Atma is eternal. All of us know, right? Atma cannot be slayed. It cannot be cut. It cannot be torn, right? It is everlasting. So it will again go back home to Godhead, or it will go back again to Mahavishnu and will be born again over here. Mataji, you can continue with the last para.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. With intelligence, one has to.
With intelligence, one has to seek out the constitutional position of the soul and then engage the mind always in Krishna consciousness. That solves the whole problem. A neophyte spiritualist is generally advised to keep aloof from the objects of the senses. But aside from that, one has to strengthen the mind by use of intelligence. If by intelligence one engages one's mind in Krishna consciousness by complete surrender unto the supreme personality of Godhead, then automatically the mind becomes stronger. And even though the senses are very strong, like serpents, they will be no more effective than serpents with broken fangs. But even though the soul is the master of intelligence and mind, and the senses also, still unless it is strengthened by association with Krishna in Krishna consciousness, there is every chance of falling down due to the agitated mind. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can you hear me? Okay, yes. So we'll just come back quickly to the shloka and we'll just see some examples, okay, from the shloka. The first, it says matter, right? So why are these examples particularly used? Okay, we'll see. So example from dull matter is the least, right? Dead matter is basically dead element, like a stone or a chair or something like mobile phones. So these are like, they're not even living forces. So hence it is the lowest of all. Hello?
Disturb. Just can you clarify what is dull matter referred to here? Is the body? Is it?
No, Mataji, that's what I'm saying. Dull matter is just nothing but like non-living entities, right? Non-living, like chair, like material things, like a mobile phone or something. That's the lowest of all, right? A matter. It doesn't
Okay.
exist. It doesn't have life to it. That is dull matter. From dull matter, we have mind. Mind is created of five senses, right? That's when the living beings start taking place, right? So five senses are like ears and all of this, right? So dull matter is nothing but like things like a chair or a stone or a mobile. So these are like dull. Matter is basically dead element, okay? And then comes mind, which is indriyani, okay? All the indriyas like eyes, tongues, and nose. So what is the problem with this stage is that these senses cannot be controlled. For example, we have cravings sometimes, and we have this attractiveness towards something. So these all happen because of the ears. That's why they say what we hear, what we see, and what we speak is important, right? So it is very easy to commit aparadhas in all way because of our senses. Okay, so mind is higher than the senses because mind is also defective in some way. Okay, like this manas is always like very defective because it has all these desires and these rejections and these approvals. Every time it starts judging things very quickly. So that's why even this, though it is higher than the mind, it is still at faulty. So and then comes intelligence, which is still higher than the mind. But again, over here also there's a small problem. Okay, in intelligence, what happens is this discrimination of what is good and what is bad. Sometimes the intelligence will be like, okay, this is okay this time, but this is not okay. So it is like flickering all the time. It's not at the same position. So intelligence can also be a problem. Hence, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Because soul is where Paramatma is also situated, right? So the soul can never be wrong. And this stage is the highest of all these stages. Only at this stage can we dispel lust, right? This is the only stage where we have that control that is bonded with spirituality. So hence there is no way that this stage is the stage where you fail in terms of lust. Okay, this is a stage where you can come over lust and you can come over even material things out of this material world also. So this stage is very hard to achieve. You have to be self-realized from this. For that you have to achieve intelligence, right? First we have to have that intelligence. Sorry, Mataji says image is not visible.
Mataji, you want to show some chart screen?
Yes. 1 second, Prabhuji. I do have that also. So this stage is where intelligence, sometimes it's hard for people to even come over intelligence, right? So because we are sometimes so stuck by saying, I know so much, like I've studied so much, and we see these mundane philosophers writing so many books, okay, even to some point where we see people reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and everything, but still at the end, okay. Sorry, shloka number 42, no, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So now what happens is, so in this process, okay, people act as if they know everything. The intelligence starts bewildering them. Even they say too much of knowledge, okay, sometimes also creates this aham in us, okay. The thing that, oh, I know so much, I can recite so much. Recently also we heard something that there are people like, who strive to learn all the 700 Bhagavad Gita shlokas and they kind of like recite all them. Then Sri Prabhupada saying, even a bird can recite, even a parrot can recite. If I teach a parrot, okay, even he can recite the whole Bhagavad Gita. That's not the point. Intelligence is not the point, okay? It is whether you've understood and whether you're implying or you're applying those things in your life. That is more important. It's not that you have memorized 18,000 shlokas from Srimad Bhagavatam or 700 shlokas from Bhagavad Gita. It is how much you have practically implemented this. So always Sri Prabhupada says it's not about mugging up. Even I haven't done it himself. Sri Prabhupada was commenting this to a reporter. It's about understanding this. And whenever that shloka comes, you have to feel, oh, yes, I have started reciprocating this, in my everyday, day-to-day duties. So next time, maybe if you hear the shloka, you have to understand, okay, so this is lust. So to conquer this, what I have to do? I have to understand the soul. So if we understand this essence, this is enough. So whenever we come across these shlokas, we have to understand that. So lust is the enemy, and the three sitting places are the mind, sense, and the intelligence. And to conquer this, we have to understand the soul, right? So you understand the soul, you be self-realized, and you can easily conquer this. So this is the hierarchy and sitting places of lust, right? As we see, and if we keep Krishna in the center and perform everything, like as I said, the vehicles we use or the the gadgets we use, kind of these things. Okay, everything can be used in Krishna consciousness. That's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. So every time we use it in for Krishna and for the seva of Krishna, everything will have a spiritualness to this. Okay, and that can only be taught by a soul, by a pure soul who's striving to become a pure soul, right? So as devotees, we all are striving to become and to come to at least to a stage where we have that Krishna prema in us, that blooming flower. So we all have to chant, do service, devotional service, read. So by doing all this, we can conquer lust. Okay, I hope it was all good. And any doubts? Because I think it's already 5 o'clock. So we will end over here.
Mataji, one shloka is left if you want to continue for this chapter.
Yeah, is it okay, Prabhuji? And if it's okay for all, I can
Others
do
are
one more.
agree, then names.
Yeah, if others are
Yes,
okay,
yes,
at least
Mataji.
one more
Yes,
shloka.
Mataji. Please go ahead.
Okay, so who wants to read, please? Please do volunteer. We just have one more shloka and we're done with this third chapter. Who wants to read?
One small question I have.
Yes, Mataji.
This last Mataji, like if we dovetail it to Krishna, then we can overcome
I
it.
wouldn't say dovetail is temporary.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I wanted to ask. Like
Yeah.
how?
Like you can dovetail when you're fire covered by smoke, right? In that stage, you can dovetail. That stage is when you're new to Krishna consciousness and you're trying to like dovetail to Krishna everything, right? You're just starting and everything you want a little bit and you're trying to change your routine. So initially it's fine, but once you're in such a point of bhakti that if you want to real progression has to take place, then it's not dovetail. You have to dispel lust itself, but it will be there inside you. Okay, you have to just keep it inside you. You're not supposed to let it out. It's like
So the more you are into this association and books, reading books and that,
yeah,
so it will be
you will
slowly.
keep it. Yeah, you will keep it inside you. It's like you will be able to lock it and keep it. Once you come out of it, like I see a lot of people, okay, like mostly unmarried girls, right? They are
Yeah.
so much into bhakti. They do so much. They're always in service and everything. What
Yeah.
happens as
But
soon
the
as
moment,
they get
yeah,
married? Yeah. So they see it's not wrong. Okay, as you enter a material life, there are certain duties of a woman that you have to perform, or the family and everything. Then there's such a big gap in bhakti. And I've seen them after 20 years, okay, after having kids and sending them to school and everything,
yeah,
after 25 years, they again come back and they resume. And why do you think they were able to resume, Mataji? Because somewhere they at least know that there's an existence
yeah,
of soul. Right? So that knowledge is never gone, right? Krishna says, even at the point where we are now, okay, even if we pass away
yeah,
from this world, we will continue again from the same point. So this
yeah,
knowledge is never going to fade from our mind. It is going to be there. It's not like our material education, where if you're reborn, we have to again do from kindergarten to undergraduation,
yeah.
post graduation. So this is going to be with us for a
Because
very
just
long
by
time.
reading that, there are so many slokas in Bhagavad Gita also for lust, anger,
Yeah.
greed. We have seen, but
Yes,
simply
yes.
by reading it is not enough, right? We have to
It's not
how
enough.
to
Yeah.
practice it. That is what I was having.
Yeah, so that's what the only way to dispel lust is by self-realization, by soul. So first of all, the first step is you at least recognize that you have a soul, right? So you've already taken the first step. Okay, you know that there is soul, and inside soul, you also know there's Paramatma residing in it. Okay, so first we have recognized this, and second stage is you like start implementing Krishna conscious activities. You have to reach to a stage where you see Paramatma in everyone. Like you don't see me as a person, you have to see me as a soul. So you and me are fellow souls. So we have to reach to that position where you see Paramatma in everyone and soul in everyone rather than the body
Correct,
and all
correct,
this.
correct.
That's why they say, right? You have to intelligence
Yeah.
and then
But
go to the soul.
that forgetfulness is also coming. That
Correct.
remembrance, yeah.
So it
I think.
happens. It happens. Definitely, Mataji. Yes. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Mataji. Mataji,
Yes.
in extension to Sindhu Mataji's question, I
Huh.
just want to ask about. So you said you need to dispel, but I am not following whether dovetailing and dispelling. How can we do it? Like
So
suppose.
Mataji, dovetailing in the sense, it's like there's a hurdle, okay? and you're just passing through the hurdle and you're getting there. Okay,
And
but it's
suppose,
not
for example,
completely destroying it, right? For example, now we have mobile. Okay, now in the mobile, half time I'm spending in Krishna conscious activity by listening to Bhagavatam classes or listening to these kind of classes. But the other half time I'm scrolling through YouTube and Instagram, seeing reels or of other things, not Krishna conscious things. Okay, so you're partially dovetailing things towards Krishna, but it is not full Krishna consciousness. Actually, it is not at all. Okay, we have to strive to a stage where we also dispel that. It's not half and half. It is okay for people who are new to Krishna consciousness. Okay, they're trying. So for them, dovetailing is okay to some point. Okay, but what happens is it's very easy for us to break and get into lusty feelings, right? We have so many things. See, once you scroll something on YouTube and you watch it for 10 seconds, now next time YouTube will recognize this thing, okay, and it will start giving you only that content, right? It's so easy in this material world to get that 1 second of this thing. I know a lot of devotees who are also like initiated and everything, and 1 second something happened, everything broke, like everything, and then they became very materialistic people, right? So lust is so strong, so dovetailing will not work. Temporary bhakti is not bhakti. Or doing bhakti by saying, okay, I'm doing 70% bhakti, but still 30% somewhere, I'm feeling this kind of thing. Then what happens? The thing is, it's not bad, but it is easy for it to break if there's some kind of situation that turns out in life. You understand, right? Now we see our Maharaj, right? We see our Guru Maharaj, Jai Patak Swam Maharaj. He's in such a situation from a very long time, okay? Because of his health conditions, he's not even able to chant. But that hasn't made him stop chanting. He still chants with japa, the counter, and he still gives initiation because he has vowed to his guru, right? So this is very rare kind of souls we can see. Like I myself fell sick for 10 or 15 days and I wouldn't chant properly, like to be honest, right? So now dovetailing, that is dovetailing. I am trying to dovetail out of my bhakti, saying some kind of reason. That is not the thing. I hope you understand, Mataji. And to dispel the lust, we have to be self-realized. We have to become more self-realized as we grow older and older and older, right? So that is older in bhakti, not in the terms of age, but in terms of bhakti.
But to draw a line is very difficult because
It
suppose
is.
we are in a family, right? And my family gets a new car today, and they want to go for a ride. But I say that I will dovetail that ride or drive to the temple instead of going somewhere else to the movie or the mall. So I'm
Okay.
dovetailing the car or the drive to the temple.
Okay.
So it is again being self-realized, knowing that I am a devotee, I know Paramatma, I know soul, I have a realization.
Okay.
Still, it is not dispelling, Like I just
Oh,
feel,
yeah,
this is got by my
yeah,
son.
yeah.
My child.
True,
So
I totally
the same
understand
margin is
this.
very difficult to draw a line between.
It is. So I know someone, I know one of the devotee. I'll give a quick example. Okay. Wherever she goes, like same thing, she has 2 kids. Okay. But wherever she goes, she wears her Vaishnava tilak. Okay. You see this tilak, right? The Vaishnava tilak everywhere, all the 12, 13 places in her body. And she goes, right? So even in the mall, I've seen, like once I've gone out with that Mataji and everyone, they stop and they ask her what this tilak is. So it doesn't matter. Okay. Even sometimes you dovetail. Okay. You can carry the essence of Krishna with you. Her tulasi mala, her tilak, okay, the way she dresses, everything attracts a crowd towards her. Everyone who sees her, they see her with such respectful eyes that for me it was an awe moment. Okay, because when I go to a mall, I feel very shy to wear a Vaishnava tilak because I feel someone might judge me and do all this. So Mataji, even though we are trying to dovetail, okay, you can also put pure consciousness into the dovetailing. You understand, right? You can be pure consciousness. Your family doesn't have to. You can try for them to come into pure consciousness. You understand, right? But you can be pure conscious, right? You can strive your best. I've seen so many people do so much like this kind of things, to stick to this. So it is one of the examples. But as you said, drawing line is the hardest part. That's why lust is the ultimate enemy, right? Even for the
Yeah,
soul.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what Srila Prabhupada says. Ultimate enemy, even for the soul, not just for living entity, even for the soul, ultimate enemy is lust. Because
So the
even
devotee, so the devotee
yes,
has to work very hard to dispel the lust. So rather than doubting is the
yeah,
initial stage, as you said, but
yes,
doubting helps to a certain extent. But
correct.
dispelling is real.
Yeah,
Is it
you
not
can
in our
try.
hands then?
Yeah, you can try to dispel. You don't have to dispel. Okay, just trying and taking that one step is enough.
So dispelling is not in our hands, no?
Dispelling is not in our hands.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I think it's past. I think Prabhuji, we have to continue the shloka next class only, right? I think there's
No
another
problem,
class
Mataji.
scheduled.
Sure,
Yeah.
Mataji.
Sure, no
Thank you
worries.
so
No, any other doubts? Or can we end the session here?
much, Mataji.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think today is one of the class full of the topic is lust. Both the verses, right?
Yeah, all the verses we got. I think 38 to 43,
Yeah.
42. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So we'll end this session. Okay. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनन्तकोटि वैष्णववृन्द की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
Jai.
भगवद ग्रंथ की जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय all glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.